for the sake of real one, I'd like to repeat that question. So I said from the first week of the workshop till today, I'd like someone to unmute and share one lesson or two that is there to their heart that they intend to implement in their business, or they are already implementing in their business at the moment. Particular lesson that is like top of the list for you.
Oh, okay. Good evening. Thank you for that question. For me, this is the first time I'm joining this section. I got the invitation from Miss Mary. So I just joined this for the first time. So I don't know about your preliminary lectures you must have organized before. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. It's good to have you, everyone. Welcome and welcome, welcome. So, would make available the recordings to you through the chat platform, and then you can go over the lessons and ensure not to have missed out. Okay, Stephen, I see that your hand is raised. Yes, please, you can go.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening. One of the basic lessons I remember from the product design lecture is ship fast. So yeah, like I'm always focused on getting the product to be perfect or working as it should instead of thinking about like shipping the product fast. So one of the lessons I would like to apply in my business or any project I'm working on is like shipping fast. Not shipping fast at the detriment of quality anyway, but there's a certain level of quality that once you get to, you should just ship. All other perfection and stuff that you want to add can come along the way. If not, you might lose your market timing. So yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Stephen. That makes a whole lot of sense. Okay, so for myself, let me just share a bit across board. For the product management class, a key lesson for me is ensuring that your product is solving a particular problem other than what any other competitive product out there in the market is trying to address. So no matter how it might look similar, no matter how it might look alike, there should just be a particular pinpoint which you can only tell if that product is out there and you've already interacted with consumers and known that, okay, this is their particular pinpoint. So that's why I took out from that session. Then for the talent acquisition, my key take home from the talent acquisition training is that most times talents don't come discovered. So you won't I need to implement the right strategies to attracting the right talent. And then when the right talent comes, I need to understand the peculiarities of my workforce to know how to address them. So not using a general approach that is already out there or what people in the industry are doing and all of that. It could have an adverse effect on my hiring or my staff or my work base. And then for startup and business growth, I took away that whenever we're trying to pivot, the most challenging point is ensuring that the product moves from like getting the product to that market. So putting a lot of effort on the go-to strategy, just like Steven said, instead of focusing on the perfection of the product, but just ensuring it gets into the market, making it accessible to the market as soon as possible with the best of strategies available through my research. So it's already 6:06. I wouldn't share on the others for now. So yeah, those were my key takeaways. So for tonight, we're going to be having two amazing sessions. One is going to be on enhancing communication, collaboration, excellence, while the other will be on DevOps mastery, streamlining development and operations for success. So it's my singular honor and pleasure to welcome our first speaker for tonight, day 3. Um, who will be taking us on enhancing communication, collaboration, and excellence. So please help me do welcome Moses Osho for his session. I need to see the reactions. Yeah. So before I allow Mr. Moses to talk, yeah, good, great. So let me tell you a little bit about him before we give him the floor to take over for us. Let me share a bit. In our practice, we like to know a bit about our facilitator before we begin. So Mr. Moses Osho is a retrofit coordinator specializing in project management, energy efficiency, and compliance auditing. He has worked in a blend of corporate and consulting environments and on various projects relating to banking, manufacturing, and construction. Moses holds a level 5 award in retrofit coordination and risk management. I hope I'm seeing the right emojis as I'm reading this. A master's degree in logistics and supply chain management from Herawa University, Edinburgh, and a bachelor's degree in project management from the Federal University of Technology, Mina. He has completed numerous industrial qualifications, including the Project Management Professional Certification. That's the PMP certification. So, with a silent influx of emojis, can we make welcome once again Mr. Moses Osho? Sir, the floor is yours. Okay, Mr. Moses, in case you are speaking, you're mute. We cannot hear you.
No?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, thank you very much. I forgot to turn the turn it on.
Thought as much. Thought as much.
Okay, great. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you for that amazing and warm welcome. Today we're speaking about enhancing communication, collaboration, and excellence. Well, three very big words: communication, collaboration, excellence. And in the next 20-25 minutes, I'll try to do justice. But I'll take you from the last word, excellence, and then the first word, communication, and then collaboration, and then I'll get back to excellence. Okay. My name is Moses. Like I've been ably introduced. I would like to start with two truths and a lie. Okay. So the first one there, if you can't just use your chat and just type in what number do you think is a lie. Okay. Just type in the number. The first one is I'm a registered energy consultant. Number two, I consider effective communication a superpower. Number three, I love to eat sushi. If you know what the lie is, just type it in the chat section. Someone said three. 1, 3, 1, 3. Okay. If you say one, you probably haven't listened to the introduction. I am a registered energy consultant, registered with ECMK and the gov.uk. Okay, I consider effective communication a superpower. That's true. I do not love to eat sushi. Okay, I don't enjoy eating raw fish. All right. Okay. So that's it. A bit about me. It's been mentioned earlier. I'm PMP certified. Also Trustmark licensed retrofit coordinator and risk manager. Licensed retrofit assessor, licensed domestic energy assessor with the gov.uk. Master's degree in logistics supply chain management, bachelor degree in project management, diploma in innovation and entrepreneurial finance. I'm a member of Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply, Nigerian Institute of Management, and the Project Management Institute. Just quick brief. Since we're talking about communication, collaboration, excellence, I believe we'll all be communicating on this session. So ensure your chat box is active, okay? Thank you very much. So let's go right into it, okay? First question, is this an excellent structure? Okay, yes or no? For those who don't know, this is the Eiffel Tower, located in Paris, in France. Is this an excellent structure? Do you think it is? Yes or no? Just put in the chat. Okay, yes, it is. Perfect. Thank you. Anybody opposing that? Okay, yes, yes, yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, this is an excellent structure. We all agree. So this is Eiffel Tower located in Paris, in France. The question is, how did this come about? And what part do the people who constructed it have to play in ensuring that this structure is well constructed and suited the way it's standing? Okay, so I believe this structure was one person's idea, okay, or a couple of people's idea. So you'd agree with me that not everybody who worked in bringing the structure to life had the idea, okay? So one person or a group of people had the idea, can we make a structure, okay? Maybe with something world renowned, just to beautify the city, whatever reason it was that they had in mind. It was somebody's idea, somebody's vision, okay? But that vision is not going to come to life except if it has been properly communicated, isn't it? That vision would not come to life if it wasn't properly communicated, okay? And then the communication goes beyond just speaking to people, oh, we're looking to build this, or we're looking to build that. It goes into detailed architectural drawing, detailed choice of colors, detailed choice of materials that this is to be used in constructing this. So the people or the person who created this design, the architect or whoever designed this structure, okay, clearly communicated what he had in mind on probably an archi drawing. And then, you have collaboration there, group of people coming together, architects, whatever field they may come from, builders, engineers, as much as possible that they need to require to get this structure to that height and standing. It's a bit of collaboration, isn't it? Okay, so you have people from different skills, different knowledge, different expertise coming together, collaborating to ensure that this structure that you all have agreed with me that it is an excellent structure come to life, isn't it? Okay, so excellent structure there is as a result of what? Communication, that's communicating the idea and the vision, and collaboration, that's the skills, the people, the knowledge, and their expertise. Okay, so for you to have excellence in work, in community, environment, for you to have an excellent group of people, for you to achieve excellence in your work, okay, there has to be two things: communication and collaboration. Okay, so it might actually be top down or side communication and collaboration. Top down, I mean by coming from the top level management or from the CEO, CFO, whatever is at the top level, down to the functional managers and down to the engineers and down to the laborers. Or it could be on the side. So it could be the engineer communicating to the builder communicating with whoever is on that trajectory. Okay, so I mean top to bottom or on both sides of the frame. Okay, so for you to have excellence in anything, you must have someone communicate something, an idea, a vision, and you must have people collaborating to bring those things to life. So the skills, the knowledge, the expertise. So like I mentioned earlier, I'll start with excellence, which I've just done, and then I'm going now to communication. Okay, the key here is everybody is a communicator. Okay, everybody is a communicator, or everyone is communicating something. And the medium, okay, we'll come to that, might be different, but everyone on earth is a communicator. Everybody on earth is a communicator. Whether you know how to speak or you are deaf, dumb, it doesn't matter. You communicate in some way, you write, okay, you made hand gestures, you communicate in some way and for some things and for some reason. Okay, let's do a quick communication exercise. And literally, I'm asking a question. Do you like donuts? Okay, anyone love donuts? Maybe wiki donuts. Does anyone love donuts? Milky donuts, jam donuts, whatever donuts. Okay, cool. All right. Now I have a donut image, and okay, now milky. All right, that's fine. Okay, I have a donut image there, or three donuts image, and I have social media icons on the side. Okay. Now, if I want to sell these donuts, in one sentence on WhatsApp, what do you think I'd post? Okay, I want to sell these donuts to people on WhatsApp in one sentence. What do you think I will post on my WhatsApp status? Anyone? Do you have an idea? Okay. How about if I want to sell it on maybe Spotify? Okay, if you want to sell it on, oh, okay, that's good. Amazing contributions coming in. You deserve that craving. Fresh donuts. Wow. Okay, AI powered donuts made by robots. No mistake. Okay, someone is getting AI donuts. Okay, okay, moving on. Communication is for all. Okay, now if I want to sell that donut on my WhatsApp, I'll probably say, oh, does anyone want a donut? And then I'll post the image there. Does anyone actually want a donut? Yep, that's a good way to start that conversation going. But yeah, on Twitter, or X as it's called, so apologies, that's an old image. On X, you probably be making a thread about donuts. Okay, I'll probably be like, oh, here's an amazing thread about donuts, and then I do thread on thread and add images and whatever. But yeah, everyone is what? A communicator. That's just what this is all about. Okay, so forget that, oh, it's not everyone that's on LinkedIn and all of that. LinkedIn is not, I mean, it has its own category of communication, right? But you can communicate on virtually everything. Okay, on Instagram, we all understand that Instagram is all about pictures. So for Instagram, I just be like, oh, here's a cool photo about donuts and stuff. Or Spotify is about music. I'll be like, oh, I'm listening to a song by Donuts. Okay, so you can see various ways that you can communicate, or various ways that brands, businesses, organizations have communicated with you. Sometimes they do it playfully in a different manner. Sometimes they do it very serious, depending on what they are looking to communicate and how they are looking to capture your attention. But in some way, every one of us on this platform have an account with one of these, and we are communicating something, whether tangible or intangible. It doesn't matter. Communication is for everyone. Okay, we are products of communication. Everyone on earth. Okay, I'll move on. So, if in case you've never seen this communication structure image, it's basically a series of a flow on how communication works. Okay, so I believe you can see my cursor. Okay, perfect. Okay, from the sender here, perfect. Okay, the sender is the person who starts the process of communication. All right, and he sends what? A message. However, that message is encoded, right, and it goes through a channel. Okay, so the sender, I want to sell a donut from our example, the previous one. I want to sell a donut. Okay, I'm the sender. Now, how do I sell this donut? Okay, I need to use a message. Okay, and in our previous slide, we've spoken about different messages, how people can structure their message using different platform. Okay, so I have a message, right? Will you buy my donut? Or this donut's available for 50K, or whatever amount you're selling it. Okay, and then I need to go through a channel. All right, the channel can be anything. Okay, we have different channels here. I can do it via any different channel I want to, and then it gets to the receiver. Okay, so the receiver has to decode what I'm trying to say. Okay, so if, for example, I'm looking to I've just earned a new certification. Okay, and I want to pass that message to my professional network. Okay, my channel, or my best channel to go through, would be on LinkedIn. Okay, I probably won't go to Spotify and create a song about my new certification. You can, but in terms of the people I want to reach, my receivers, okay, my end channel, okay, I'm looking to use media systems that they are comfortable with, that they are conversant with. Okay, in terms of my target audience, I need to use the right channel to communicate that new certification. So, for example, I've recently just became level 5 coordinator certification, and I'm looking to post that on my to my professional network. I'm not going to go create a song about my level 5 qualification. Okay, you can if you are very skillful, but I wouldn't, because my target audience, my recruiters, are not on Spotify. When they go on Spotify, they go to listen and feel relaxed, not to get clamped by some new guy who just got one certification. All right, so in that case, I'll look at what's the best way to pass my message across to this guy here who is the receiver. Okay, and the easiest way to do it is such that he can decode it easily. Okay, so I create the message, I encode it, sends it as a message through a channel, it goes to the receiver, who then decodes it. Now listen, in this whole process there is noise. Okay, there is noise, and noise could be if you're doing an audio recording, it could be some background noise. If you're sending like a text or an image, it could be too much graphics on the image and all of that. It could be anything. Okay, which is something you need to reduce. Okay, in your message, ensure it is very clear and very concise. Okay, so I pass the message to the receiver. Okay, now the only way for me to confirm that my message has been fully received and understood is when I get a feedback. It's when I get a feedback. Okay, without the feedback, I'm just speaking to myself. So it is important when you communicate that you get a feedback to ensure that you understand or what your message has communicated. So for example, I sent an email to my colleague. I'm like, okay, could you send me the document for training that we did yesterday? Okay, now the feedback I'm expected to receive could be, if for example we had 2 trainings, it'll probably be, are you talking about the first training or second training, just so she's clear, or I get a feedback by receiving the document from the training. So if I receive the document that I wanted, I'm clear that, okay, my message has been clear and communicated properly. This is really important, especially if you're working with multicultural teams, diverse teams, diverse culture. Okay, because people perceive, or people's idea of people's knowledge of English differs. So even if you're speaking all in English, our knowledge of English differs, and word evolves. So you might actually say things like vibe, and what vibe mean to a Nigerian context might actually be different from what vibe means to a Scottish context. Okay, I was out with some friends, and we approached some other group of friends. Okay, so we're talking to this lady, and the guy is like, "Oh, I love your vibe," and she's like, "No, you don't use that word." And we were like, "Oh, sorry." So I came in. I'm like, "Oh, sorry. What he means by "I love your vibe" is, in the Nigerian context, vibe means, okay, your personality, your outgoing, nature, being, open, and all of that. Oh, and she's like, "Oh, what she thought vibe was, from my own context and knowledge, was some large astronomical shit." Okay, so it feels like she's messed up, and it's like, "Oh, you love star is messed up," and it's just crazy how one word can mean different things to different people, especially if you're working in virtual multicultural teams. So you need to be really careful and ensure you use plain communication, plain words in passing your idea. All right. Okay. So how do you then build your team? Okay. Because we mentioned that for you to achieve excellence, you have to communicate and collaborate. But then you need to, build, that communication. It doesn't just happen. In fact, if you follow Tuckman's 5 development stages, he said every team starts from forming, storming, numbing, performing, and adjourning. Okay, so every team goes through 5 stages according to Tuckman, And the 5 stages start from forming. That's where you form the team, you bring the people together. And then storming. Okay, storming means that they begin to fight each other. Okay, people are, sometimes get agitated when there are other people who has better skills or better knowledge than them. So it creates this level of, okay, we're still trying to get to know you. I believe I can do it better, or can you take this part, or would you take that part? Okay, and then from storming, they begin to norm, they begin to come together, they begin to understand each other. Oh, this person is best suited for this level of work, this person is best suited for communicating, this person is best suited for graphic, and the team begins to build. And then when they now build and understand each other, they get to a stage called performing. And in that stage, they work faster, they work like super fast, because everyone knows what everyone's strengths and weaknesses is or are, and they only pass messages across to you based on what you can handle. And then after the whole performance has been done, the project has been completed, you then get to adjourn the project. Okay, Tuckman's 5 development stages is one of the PM development stages values that you probably come across if you're into the PM side of things. Okay, team building dynamics. You need to have a sense of purpose, and what that means is that it needs to be communicated. Purpose communication is more about ideas and vision. It should come from the top down to the sub categories within the organizational structure. What you need to do for people is to develop people. So we mentioned in the Talkman stages that you might have people's strengths and people's weaknesses. So if you need them to be a certain kind of way, then you need to develop them. Okay. You need to also create process of communication, process of work, process of leadership, and all of those things. So you need a process, and then you need to track progress. You need to track your progress, because the only way to know if you're performing, if you're working effectively, is when you track your progress. All right, so some of the benefits that you can achieve with communication, teamwork, and collaboration is your team have an improved communication. Okay, so if you're looking to track, one of the ways you can track is checking how the communication has improved over time. Another way to track is productivity. Okay, productivity, the numbers don't lie. I'm a numbers person, to be honest. So I usually like to check, okay, we've gone from 10 to 15. Okay. Say we used to do 5 in one day, we're now doing 7. That's cool. Professional development as well. I mentioned, you need to build people and ensure that they learn in any areas they're lacking, offer support where you need to. Also enhance problem solving, come together to help solve any problems, issues they may have. Another way to track is job satisfaction. Okay, one of the easiest way to track is your employee turnover. Now, employee turnover can be 2 things. It could be good and it could be bad. Okay, it could be bad in terms of if you need to hire every 2 months, it means that your team goes through the phase of trying to get a new person on board, trying to learn their working system, and just build a collaboration every 2 months. That's a stress on the team, because when you begin to enjoy the people, then they get to leave. So it doesn't really say much about the firm, right? And it could also be good in terms of like when people come, they get built up, they move to higher positions, you gain a larger network, or a larger market share space. For example, if I have a project manager on my team and he's worked with me 4 years, and probably we're into humanitarian projects, and after 4 years, no, sorry, after 2 months, okay, so we're looking at turnover, okay, employee turnover. So after 2 months, this guy left, joined USAID or UNESCO or UNICEF, for example. Now, it could easily and better facilitate our firm in terms of growth, because we're into the humanitarian sector, and he has a working knowledge of what we are trying to build, our vision. Now, him being moving up into the space means that he could easily pass up some projects and recommend our firm for larger projects. Okay, so it could be good, it could be bad. So you need to watch employee satisfaction. Okay. Strategies to enhance teamwork. You need to build a positive work culture. Okay, you need to have a work culture. What are we doing as a team? What should we be doing? Team building events are part of ways to build positive work culture. Have team rules, team regulations, and what do's and don'ts basically. You need to be self-aware and have self-leadership. This is for everyone. Self-awareness is for everyone. Self-leadership is for everyone. You need to carry yourself, as a brand, and just keep building and keep building. You must have clear and purposeful communication within the team. We've mentioned that, and try to solve problem as a group. All right, building collaborative teams. Because of my time, I'm not going to dwell much on this slide, but you need to have a strong sense of community. Okay, when people feel among, then they get to stay longer. It's like an employee who is well rewarded would have every tendency to work harder and to stay longer within the team. Okay, so build a community rather than building a group. So rather than building a group, build a community, build a team. Okay. Focus on training and real-time connection. So as much as possible, if you can, have physical events rather than virtual events. By events, I'm not saying work-related events. I'm talking about like events that foster collaborations, getting to know individuals away from from their laptop and their desk. Ensure that you engage collaborative tools and technology. Have some kind of relationship-oriented task. Like I started this session with some, communicative form of questions, and I've got people on the chat box, okay, responding. It just gives you a sense of belonging and a sense of, they carry you along. Performance metrics and accountability, which I mentioned earlier, you must be able to track. And moving on. Okay, these are the last couple of slides, and I mentioned here, it is not enough to communicate in a way that people should understand you, which is fine. If you communicate alone, and my communication is that I want people to understand me, that's great. But you need to communicate in a way that people don't get to misunderstand you, okay? So if I'm trying to communicate and I'm communicating to, say, for example, someone who is deaf or dumb, and I'm just speaking and speaking and speaking. Now, I'm communicating in a way that this person should understand me, right? But then this person, by virtue of that deformity, cannot. Okay, so I need to now, find another way to communicate so that this person does not misunderstand me. So I need to add gestures to my words. Okay, if someone has got, probably things like they use a hearing aid, for example, right, and they can't hear me clearly, and I'm trying to say, okay, go to the kitchen. Okay, so if I add hand gestures like kitchen, like food, it helps the person not to misunderstand what I'm trying to say. So if I do this, like putting like hands to my mouth, there's no way you would say that's a representation for I want to use the toilet. Okay, I don't think there's any, except the person has some extra mental issues. But if hands to mouth would naturally not mean I want to go to the toilet. Okay, so I'm trying to communicate in a way not to be misunderstood. Okay, so where you can add hand gestures. Okay, if you ever get in trouble, for example, and you need someone to come save you, a lawyer to come bail you out. Okay, if you've seen the movie Suits, what would you go for? Okay, so for those who haven't watched the movie, I'm sorry, you should. It's a very good one. I recommend. You have Louis Litz on the left. You have Jessica. You have Ave. You have Mike Ross, and that is um, Rachel, and that is Donna, I believe. Okay, so who would you call to come save you? Okay, everyone is have a specter, have a specter, have a specter. All right, but Ellen Keller says, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So imagine you have all of them, 6 of them in that image coming to save you, not just have a specter. You got the 6 of them coming. You have the wittiness and the pettiness of Louis Litz. You have the tactfulness and the financial backing of Jessica. You have Harvey there. I think everyone has gone for Harvey, so I'm not going to describe him. You have Mike Ross, who is very smart, very knowledgeable. You have Rachel, who is the emotional part of as well as Donna, who is It just gives you more of a spice to the whole thing. So imagine everyone is coming to save you. You would have more confidence than having just Harvey coming to save you. So alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. So rather than having just Harvey Specter, you can have the six of them. So together you can do so much. It's just like when you were small, and we have a couple of issues that are siblings. My mom back in the days used to like give us a broom, and then she'd pick out a piece and say, okay, break it. And you can easily break that one piece of broom. And then she gives you a bunch and she's like, okay, try to break it. And then we try to struggle, knowing fully well we can't break that broom, but we try to struggle to break the bunch, and we keep like, it just tells more about togetherness, collaboration. You can get much done. Okay. If you look at the image there, that's my good friend, Sheldon Cooper. And according to Ralph Marston, excellence is not a skill, it is an attitude. Okay. I have that image there because if you watch Sheldon, I think Sheldon is one of, if you watch the movie Young Sheldon, he's one of the guys with the most, how do I describe it now? He's got this passion for excellence. He doesn't like to score 90 or 99. If it's not 100, it's not Sheldon. He gets really angry if it's not 100. So excellence is not a skill, it's an attitude. So imagine having an attitude for excellence like Sheldon Cooper, which most images there. If you've watched Young Sheldon, you understand better. If you've not, I recommend. It's very, it's more of comedy and some stuff, yeah. So excellence is not a skill, excellence is an attitude. And this is where I would bring it to stop. I think I've taken about 30 minutes. I believe I've not wasted your time. If you do have any questions, please shoot. Thank you very much, everyone.
Amazing. Like, who would not go for a repeat of this session? Like, this is so massive. Thank you so much, Mr. Moses. Your slides, your presentations completely represent the training that you gave us. You covered everything very, very, very beautifully. Your presentation was excellent. Your communication was massively apt. And you took us like straight through the journey. This is a phenomenal session. I can see the reactions everywhere. Wow. Wow. Nice. Nice. Okay, so I'm just going to give a second. Everybody unmute and tell Mr. Moses thank you. Enough with your shaking and your clapping. Unmute now
Thank
and
you
say
very
thank
much,
you,
Mr.
Mr.
Moses.
Moses. Yes.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you
you for
for
your
my
time.
Nice. 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 Okay. Great. So I got carried away. Like I was enjoying the session. I didn't even know how to check the time to know, okay, oh, I just became a very bad moderator in that moment. But we have just 5 minutes to take one or two questions if there are any. So if you have a question, you could indicate now. Abdul, your hand is up. Okay, I see Abdul. Let me take Abdul quickly. Yeah. Okay. I think Abdullah, you dropped your hand. Seems like you don't have a question anymore. I love the messages I'm seeing in the chat session. Someone said, done already. Time went so fast. Amazing, powerful. I got carried away expecting that the session would last longer. A big well done, Mr. Osho. All right, so is this to say that we don't have any questions? It was quite as rewarding for me as I say it is for you. So I just want to confirm that there are no questions before clear as eyes. Okay, nice, Victor. Nice. All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Moses, once again. We really appreciate your time with us. That was a really impactful session. Like you took us through a journey that we all really did enjoy. You made us learn a lot of things at the same time. You recommended movies for us to go and watch, taught us a bit about several other things. And thank you so much for that word on eyes. I have it already screen grabbed. and it's going up on LinkedIn soon enough. So it's not enough to communicate in a way to be understood. We must communicate in a way not to be misunderstood. Perfect, like period. All right. Okay, so for the movie titles, there is Young Sheldon and Sweets. Yes. Moving forward, as much as I know we enjoyed this session, I know the next session is going to be as entertaining and enlightening as this. We have DevOps mastery. So this is a technical topic that Mr. Daniel Eje will be taking us, streamlining development and operations for success. So it is my pleasure and singular honor to welcome to Workmate Accelerator, the Workmate Startup Acceleration Program, Mr. Eje. Please, let's put our hands together for Mr. Eje. So, Mr. Daniel Eje, I'd like to tell us a bit about Mr. Daniel Eje before he maybe shares the screen or says hello to us so that we can have an idea of the person who is talking to us. Maybe one of these days I'll do a trivia. Let me see who can remember any intro about our speakers. And maybe I'd reward person who gets one right. Okay, so Mr. Daniel Eje. Daniel Eje is a software engineer based in Germany with an educational background in computer engineering from the Federal University of Technology, Minna, Nigeria. Known for his knack for building scalable and efficient software solutions, Daniel has significantly improved business operations in multiple industries with his innovative approaches. Currently working as a platform engineer at Agile Robots, Daniel focuses on fine-tuning cloud systems and crafting effective data pipelines. His efforts at Agile Robots have transformed how their products function, boosting both reliability and user engagement. Beyond his day job, Daniel is a passionate advocate for cloud computing and DevOps. He's actively involved in the open source community where he contributes to projects that benefit users worldwide. Daniel is set to deliver a talk on the latest trends in DevOps, sharing practical insights from his experience in the field. His dedication to the Teach community and his passion for mentoring upcoming engineers make him a figure in the rapidly evolving landscape. Where are my emojis, please? Evolving landscape of software engineering. In his leisure time, Daniel enjoys exploring new technologies and contributing to open source projects and writing articles that help demystify complex technical concepts for a broader audience. Ladies and gentlemen, in the building, we have Mr. Daniel Eje. Welcome so much, sir.
Hey guys, good evening. Yeah, I'm also happy to be here. I can see a lot of familiar names. Yeah, so just forget about the intro. Still very much a newbie in the cloud world, so it's not going to be as technical as you think. But anyways, we can get into it right away. Okay. Okay. Right, can you guys see my screen? Hey guys.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, yeah, so it's, I know when we hear the word DevOps, right, it's, even me too, at the first time I heard DevOps, I was like, oh, what is this nerdy word that it looks so like very, very complex and sophisticated. You really do not know what it is, but honestly, it's a very, very simple concept. It's more or less a cultural standard for people who are in the tech world, people who are in the IT world. Yeah, so I'll just be talking about like DevOps and how it can help virtually any organization. It's more or less a culture you adapt within your organization that takes you from when you're building a product, it takes you from the inception of that product, even right to the end of the product, and you keep iterating on that product over time. Yeah, so okay. Yeah, so what is DevOps? Oh, very interesting question. Before I answer this, I don't know if anybody has like can give a go. What do you think DevOps means, like from the word? Okay. So anybody, you can answer, you can chat. What do you think DevOps is, like just from the word? I know you maybe your idea of DevOps is like robots or something. Sorry? Was somebody speaking? Did I heard something? Okay, yeah. So yeah, development and operations. Yeah, that is what DevOps is. So exactly. So DevOps just basically entails like development and operations. In most organizations today, they basically sell things to customers, right? And these products like have a life cycle. Like before you take this product from maybe the day you give birth to the idea up until the day you have to serve this to clients, it has a life cycle it travels through, right? So DevOps entails it gives you some sort of cycle that you have to follow from when you are building this product up until when you're serving it to customers, and you have to keep improving on this product. So you have to keep iterating, right? So this here is just a little circle of like what DevOps entails. It's not all about coding. I think you can also adapt this culture in anything you are building, really. So it first starts with you creating creating an idea, right? Or let's say for programmers writing the code. Then you have to come up with some sort of plan when you're creating, right? So when you create and you plan, right, you have to take this plan through this cycle. You have to first create plan. So planning involves a lot of things. Planning could mean, okay, I'm not just the only one building this. I have multiple people building with me. So all of us have to like push this to some sort of like shared, or like a shared platform, right? Yeah, so planning could entail, okay, person A, person B, person C, we have the same vision, we have the same idea, and we'd all want to come up with like this product. We all want to build something. From a developer's perspective, I know we all understand that. I think a lot of us use GitHub here and use GitLab. I don't know, is anybody conversant with like GitHub, GitLabs? Which one do you use? Hello. In the chat, I love interactive sessions. So just tell me what repo bucket do you use for the developers in the house? Like I can see Git bucket.
Okay, I mostly use GitHub and Bitbucket.
Yeah, cool. I think those are good repositories. Yeah. So now the whole idea is everybody has to contribute their own block, right? Like let me say person A is working on a different part of the system, person B is working on another part of the system. Everybody has to contribute their own piece, or their own idea or their own solution to make this product a whole. For let me say something like a popular application, let me use YouTube for example. Maybe I, as a developer, I'm working on the streaming or one part of the application. Someone else is working on like a whole different part of the application, but all of us have to push all this to one shared repository. So everyone is able to like see and say, okay, yes, this is the full product, right? So this creates a lot of problems. Can anyone think of the problem that might arise from when you have multiple people trying to write? Like think of it like a full body. You have your hand, someone creating the hand. So what happens when everybody's trying to put all the pieces together? Can anyone give me an idea of what you think would happen?
Okay, you could have conflicts.
Yes, very, very much true. You could have conflicts. Is there any other like thing you can think of? Like what could happen if you have multiple people trying to push something to a shared, they're working on the same idea, right? But now you've separated it into smaller tasks and you have multiple people contributing. Conflict is one of the certainties that would occur. So now the practice of DevOps involves, like, it basically involves you breaking this into smaller tasks, like I've said, and having you push this to a shared repository. It could be an idea, it could be a conference page, it could be whatever. But everybody has his or her own responsibility, and everybody is pushing into a shared repository. So I would touch more on that cycle you saw, but let me just walk you through the process bit by bit. Yes, decision making harder. Exactly. Thank you very much. It's very, very hard to make decisions because you don't know how to integrate person's A solution with person's B solution. Like, how do you fit the hands, the ball joint into into where it's supposed to be, or whatever joint you're trying to put in place. So it's becomes very, very hard, right? So that's where a lot of these processes come into play. So first, I'll be talking about automation, right? So automation is basically that is the foundation of DevOps, right? When you're moving things from your plant stage up until you are releasing, right? Automation is what happens. You want as little as possible human intervention with this process, right? So anyhow you can automate it, that's good for you. Me, I love using the Lagos traffic the Lagos traffic example here, where you're stuck in Lagos traffic. With Okada you would actually move fast in this traffic, but because you are there and you're inside your car, you're looking around and you're seeing press on bikes, and you're thinking to yourself, but I have to use, why don't I just use bike? It's not easy to actually just come down from your car for the bike, right? But it's something that has to be in place, right? For you to get to your destination faster. So you just have to plan well and see where you are going to, and think, okay, do you want to show off in that destination? Or do you want to arrive there in style, or you don't care, you want to use your Okada? So yeah, so you either automate in DevOps or you die trying. There's no two way about it, right? You don't expect every time, like I said, you don't expect every time somebody pushes a solution or pushes an idea to that shared repository. You don't expect everybody at the same time to come and say, okay, I want to pull from this thing and test it myself. I want to pull from this thing and see if it works. No, you have to create some sort of automated tests. Testing is one. You have to create some sort of automated tests to test if this person's solution actually follows some certain standards. If this person's solution, like just making basic assertions, basically, you're saying, okay, I'm expecting the hand to go up, to go down, to be able to pick a cup, right? So this standard is supposed to be set, right? So I'm expecting, if you push anything, the general idea of the body's function, like Mr. Niger Diva, I think that's it, should not change, right? So testing basically entails you are automating the test process. You are ensuring that anytime something comes in, whether it's just a little dot to my idea or to my code base or to whatever solution I'm building, I have to run these automated tests. I don't really know how they automate tests in other industries, but I know in tech world you have different kinds of tests, right? Like I don't want to be too technical because if I become too technical, we might not live here on time. So yeah, but for the test cases, you have like the unit test where you just test that person's particular unit. Okay, this is the method handling this. I bring that unit and I'm testing it. I'm automating the test for this unit. You have an integrations test, you have a smoke test. So integrations, you are testing like the whole system flow. Smoke tests, you are more or less testing a particular functionality of the system, right? So it's more or less just you just have to automate that flow. Okay, so after the testing, there's something else you have to automate. Now let's say I design person A, right? Maybe me, I'm 1 year old. I'm moving to 2 year old. I'm moving to 2 years old now. After a year, I would have to keep track of my age in one way or the other. Like most platforms you have these days, they are telling you, okay, I've changed from 1 to 2. There's a way I have to do some sort of like version control, age control. I'll call it age control, right? So after testing and the whole idea is here, I can move it into like release, right? Or some organizations, they move it to quality assurance, right? So they have a QA team. They have a QA team that basically just checks, okay, is this thing supposed to work the way it's supposed to work? Is this thing supposed to work the way it's supposed to work? Is this thing supposed to work the way it's supposed to work? But I'll get to that. I'll get to why these teams exist. But for now, just know that automation is one of the most important things in the DevOps flow, development and operations flow. So yeah, we move over to CI/CD. This was what I was explaining earlier, where you have like continuous integration and continuous delivery. So this is where automation actually plays a very, very, very important role, right? This is where automation plays a very, very important role, because how do you continuously integrate your ideas, and you have to continuously deliver this? Think of it like a pipeline, right? Where you have to continuously integrate something, like, right, I have to deliver a new feature. Maybe tomorrow I'm adding my legs to my body. So I don't want to spend time having to go through the same process that I could just write something for, and I have this automated, right? So you have to think, you have to reason, like, okay, how do I do this? And you see where automation is really, really necessary, because some of us, like, we you don't know what goes into. I just want to use a Google Play applications, for example, right? Where, let's say we have an application on Play Store, right? You see that it changes from version 1 to version 2 real quick, and you're like, how do they do this? There are a lot of automations that work under the hood to achieve this particular thing, right? So you have to move through these stages, right? Even though you're just adding a little feature to your application, you have to pass it through this phase, through these stages, like, and they become very cumbersome if there's no automation involved. So this is why it's the heartbeat, because it wouldn't exist, the cycle wouldn't exist if you do not have some sort of automation. Think about it. Why would I, if I'm not continuously integrating, or just have a general idea now? What do you think? This is a question to everybody. What do you think would happen if there was no continuous integration? Like, if there was no, like, automated way to continuously integrate or continuously iterate on an idea? Like, you could think and just, like, anything. Like, just think of it. I have an idea. I have 4 other people working on this with me, right? Now, I would want to integrate. Exactly. So each time a change is made, you would want to manually deploy, and that's cumbersome. Like, imagine it takes you. Okay, let me give you for instance now, right? Imagine deployment means like, let me use business and entrepreneur, for example. Imagine deployment means I would have to take, I sell food, right? I'm a food vendor. I'd have to cook this food and move for, like, if I have a bunch of orders, I have to move from house to house delivering this. I do not have any delivery drivers, right? Do you think I would want to be cooking? Like, would I want to even be in that line of business? No. So now automation comes in, where you have everybody, like, having their own responsibility. Everybody, the delivery driver knows what he's supposed to do. I probably do not have to receive orders via phone calls. I have platforms that handle that for me, probably Shopify or one of these other platforms. I've hooked it up, and I'm receiving orders from there. And I can continue. I can just focus on my cooking alone and have the whole system handle every other thing, right? It makes me think less, because I know I'm focusing on one thing, have the whole system automated, correct? So think of DevOps in that light. There are more technical things to it, but you can just think of continuous integration and continuous delivery in that light, where you have like a food vendor just cooking. Just all you do is cook. Like, I know the Nigerian slang for cook is so you just keep cooking code, cooking whatever you want to cook. Just keep cooking, and your delivery is automated. Everything moves from point A to point Z without any hassle. If there's a failure in your pipeline, your test doesn't work, you come back, this food is not sweet, right? You have to see what is failing. You iterate on it and you move. And once it's ready, you just have to click a button. The delivery guy comes to your door, packs them up, and delivers it to every single client you have. So it's that simple, right? So that is the illustration. That's what CI/CD means. right? When you hear the word continuous integration, continuous deployment, it's just having your products move from point A to point Z. Every single step is automated, right? So yeah. So now we have the watchful eyes. Yeah, like I mentioned, you have to have this, like you have to have some sort of watchful eyes because of like I mentioned, if your food is not sweet, right? You obviously know this food is not sweet. And how do you know this food is not sweet? You first have to put the spoon inside, touch it on your hand, and like lick it like most Nigerian mothers do. Yeah, but you'd have to put it in your hand and lick it. And then you can tell that, okay, yes, this food is not sweet. I maybe have to add more salt. I maybe have to add more this. So think of testing and monitoring like in that light, right? Where you are in the process of building your product and you understand that, okay, I have to test this thing first. And how do I test if I can't really, if how do I know, even if my test fails, how do I know what the problem is if I can't see proper logs for this my problem, right? I just see, okay, pipeline failed. I can't see what is failing in the pipeline, right? I don't, I might imagine my taste buds now are not working. I put soup on my hand or stew on my hand and I lick it and I'm like, I, I can't taste anything. You understand? What is the problem with it? I really can't tell. But I know something is wrong because maybe from the aroma, I can smell but I can't taste. From the aroma, I can perceive it's not something like what I usually cook. You get. So yeah, so it's more or less like that. I can't really feel it, but it's there. So this is why you have to have proper logging and monitoring, right? So logging and monitoring is some, I think it's a generic word for it's self-explanatory. Like, what does monitoring mean? Being on what? You have to also automate that process. How do you automate that process? You can plug in notifications, you can plug in whatever this thing to your product. Like I just mentioned, in a delivery chain now for a food vendor, you can have like, okay, I use my manual testing to know if my food is sweet or not. You get, even before it goes out to the client. So I can keep iterating on that food until it passes this test or it passes certain criteria and I move to the next level on the chain. So yeah, this is what I discussed before earlier. Sorry, but before I go forward, is there any question as to like the monitoring, the logging, the automation? Does anyone have any question? Because I think, any question? Anyone? Any question? Any question? Oh, no question then. Oh, fine. So yeah, let me just bring one technical business term here. Silos. Silos. Okay. Silos. Yeah, so silos is a fancy word that businesses use, right? To just describe separation of teams, basically. So I'm separating everybody. They have their own, they're isolated. They have their own concerns. They do not cross into another person's domain. And that's where this is what actually bettered a lot of fields in tech today, because organizations, you see, like, okay, you have platform engineers, you have DevOps engineers, you have cloud engineers. A lot of people are like, are they not the same thing? What are they working on? Until you break down silos, literally, you might not really understand like what all these people are working on. What are QA doing, right? What are devs doing? What are the ops, the IT people doing? So everybody has their own like role to play in the ops cycle, in the DevOps cycle. It might be the developers, it could be whatever kind of developer you are, back end, front end. When you write code, you push. I'm literally describing the cycle now. You write code, you push. You have automated tests running. When you push this code to some sort of repository, it runs some automated tests on this piece of code you pushed. Whatever change you pushed, does it break? Yes, there are. There are a lot of AI tools that can help with automation. We can get to those at the end of the conversation. I didn't want to go into much tooling because it would make it a little bit more technical when I start talking of things like infrastructure as code and all that. But now, so everybody has its own responsibility. I, as a developer, I push my code to a shared repository. Developer B pushes the same code. I have like 50 backend engineers working on the same like repo. All of them are pushing to this shared repository. Everybody knows, okay, this is bad, this is good. Okay, everybody's on the same page because the test is showing you these automated tests, they do not change basically. So if something breaks, they are more like assertions. If something breaks, it tells you this has broken, go and fix it. So developer A is responsible for fixing that. So after this passes all the tests and maybe it goes, there's a release dates and these features are to be released. When this is, before this is even released, right, there's a QA, quality assurance. Basically, the tests, they run some of these tests, right, on their own. You, like after the automated tests, just check like basic functionalities of the application. QA more or less tests, like they don't test it like a black box. They test it more like, is this thing doing what it's supposed to do, more or less. They try to test from the client's perspective now, not from the developer's perspective. So you can think of a test from a developer's perspective, like testing just the logic. Okay, I'm supposed to give this A and it's supposed to give me B. I'm supposed to put A into this function and it's supposed to give me B. So that's the developer's logic. But QA is testing this application from a logic of, if I scroll up and I request for this, I think they are the people that cause a lot of trouble in organizations, but we'll get to that. If I scroll up and I request for this, it's supposed to give me this. So the developer has probably done what QA is or like, or he didn't catch one particular edge case or something. So it's giving this, but now QA is saying, okay, imagine I don't want to use the app this way. I now want to, let me give you a very generic example. Let me say an application that you upload images, right? I upload pictures and it works, right? It converts these pictures to like text or something. But for QA now, they will be like, let me upload PDF and see, like sometimes it makes no sense, but it's actually something you should catch. What happens if I upload a PDF? Does it break? Does it continue working? So QA would be testing in those kind of abstract ways, like they are testing things from a perspective that developers really do not understand. But enough of ranting about QA, but that's what it is. So the ops are people who set up the infrastructure, right? Like the developer now has to worry about code. You're like, okay, who automates this? Those are where the ops come into play, right? The ops are like, okay, I'm setting this up for you guys. Don't worry about any other thing. Just isolate yourself and write code. Forget about every other thing. I would focus on just writing the code, and that's what I do as a developer. You have everybody setting up the infrastructure right onto the point it's deployed on the server. I'm sure you all know what servers are. So if it's clusters you're using, if it's pods or whatever you're using, from the developers code up unto that point, the IT and operations people handle that. And the QA is ready to just keep testing, keep testing, keep testing, keep testing. So you have this repetitive cycle, right? Now to the fun part, this is the fun part of it, right? These are the important things that actually DevOps gives to you, right? So you can iterate based on feedbacks. In as much as I'm ranting about the QA, their feedbacks are very, very important, right? So you have this iterative loop. You have this loop, like I said, you saw it like it's like an infinite sign. It's like this iterative loop. So when it goes into release, you could have different kinds of like testing. You could have you have beta testers. Now these are real users who like test this product, and you could set up some sort of monitoring too at that point. So you keep monitoring at that release point. So even after the app from Google Play Store has reached, I'm sure some of us are subscribed to like beta programs or some applications. So when it reaches your device, you're like, a select few that are testing it for the first time. And those applications are sometimes very buggy, sometimes they are good, but we know that, okay, we are the first people literally using this. All they do now, it's, you don't know you're giving them information, but most times under the hood, what they plug into these applications are some sort of like monitoring tools. that basically just gets metrics from your device, like, okay, how much CPU is this part consuming, how much this is this consuming. So you have that feedback, that is direct feedback. Or you could even move it to device, like you could move it to more people to test. So there's this thing they call blue, green, and canary deployment. I'm not going to go much into it, but it's virtually a way of like deployment, right? So you are able to get feedbacks from clients or from users on the performance of your applications now in a real world scenario. You get, because these users are like you and I. We're downloading an application, or we are getting this food, or like a food vendor now. We're getting this food and we are like, okay, I'm eating it. This thing is good. But imagine now, instead of eating it, you have a direct, you can easily, you are the first person tasting this new cuisine for the first time. Like, think of it like an exclusive list. You're tasting this new cuisine and you have my number and you're chatting me up and like, yeah, this is it, this is it. This salt is too much, this is too much. You're giving me direct feedback and I'm iterating based on those feedback. So you have someone collecting this and basically just iterating. So you go back into the planning and say, okay, this was what the user said, this was what they said. We're back in the cycle. We plan, we push code again after planning, we create new features, solve bugs, move it to release. We have those people test it again. It comes back. So you see where the cycle continues, right? It comes back to us. We plan again. We plan. We think of ways to solve this problem. We think of ways to improve the product. Move it. Give the developers the idea. The developers continue, move forward, write code, push to shared repository, run their tests. So you see, it makes it very fast. Like, I don't know if you can think of it, but the process is really, really fast. Like, conventionally, you do not have like applications being released at this fast rate. Like, you solve problems really fast. You have applications released at a fast rate. You release products faster, and you educate and train continuously. Because if the users, from the users feedback you got, you're like, or from your ops, your ops operation feedback you got, you're like, okay, I'm not supposed to be using this, or I'm supposed to include this new feature. Everybody wants this. I'm supposed to do this with AI. Everybody has to be on board with AI. The problem can be solved with AI. Everybody has to learn. Everybody has to, like, everybody's in that continuous process of learning and training continuously. So you never stop learning basically in this cycle. So just a quick recap. I think I'm at the end. This is just the time to interact. So just a recap. So DevOps, it's more or less a culture. It's not even like me personally, I do not like the name DevOps engineer, because anybody can adapt DevOps in whatever team they find themselves. You can adapt DevOps in whatever scenario. Like, I even literally use the food vendor scenario to describe what DevOps meant. So it's just a culture. So me, I stand for the DevOps culture. There's DevOps advocates everywhere I go. Development and operations. We have that iterative cycle. We automate things. So that is what I am. You have the CI/CD key components. You have the CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery. You have the automation. Then you have monitoring and logging. Those are like the key components of like any DevOps cycle, right? Yeah, so the floor is open. Whatever questions you have, you can flood me with them, and I hope I can answer. And thank you very much, guys. So any question from anyone?
Massive. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. That was, so I've always perceived DevOps as a really technical, done a couple of researches on it, watched YouTube videos, this and that. But no one had ever broken this down to me, relating it with, everyday things. And I like the fact that you talked about food a lot. Like, I was really following, the food concept made a lot of sense to me. And so I normally have this question just before I open the floor to any other person to ask their questions. So most times, especially during hiring processes in tech organizations, because we have some people working in tech organizations here. We have some startup founders themselves here. So I beg to ask this question. Why is it that most times the major hiring we do is on developers, whether back-end or full stack or front-end, and then product designers? We tend to leave out the QAs, the DevOps, and all of that. What's the challenge with that? Why does that happen? What are we losing by doing that? And is there any valid reason why that is happening? Otherwise, what would you advise startup founders to do in that kind of a situation? Thank you.
Okay, so like I said, right, DevOps is more of a culture, you understand? And the truth is, when building, like as a startup, right, with very few clients, the honest truth is you do not really have a lot of customers, right? So you might not even have the because like I said, if you want to iterate fast and you want to deliver quickly, you use like the DevOps culture works. It works in any scenario at all, though. But when you do not have that much customers, that much clients, you do not really have the need to deliver product at that fast-paced like style, right? So it's more or less how much your budget is, right? It's a culture. Back-end developers these days, they do their part in writing like code for just testing their units, right? You understand? So DevOps, it's essential in any organization, but still yet it all boils down to like what is the most important thing for you at that point, right? If you're a startup with less customers, or you're a startup that doesn't even have a paying client yet, you honestly speaking, why do you want to iterate really fast when you should be coming up with an MVP? You get me? So it's for organizations. I think that's the major reason why the hiring is usually, you see DevOps for organizations that are usually scaling, right? It's more or less it's scaling, because you start facing some of these problems when you start scaling. If I'm a food vendor, like you said, and I just have 2 people, I can take it, okay, how much is the transport? I can add it to the money and just be delivering to those 2 people. I don't really have to pay any extra delivery guy any money, right? You get me? Because it's easier for me to deliver to these 2 people without the extra overhead of implementing some of this. But the truth is, you face a problem, right? There are 2 ways to it. You face a problem in the future, right, when you're trying to scale, because if some of these practices are not in place, a lot of things will start breaking, right? You would realize that, okay, you can't really keep track because there's been no version from day one, right? You can't really keep track of what you've been doing, right? Because let's say you weren't into the DevOps culture, you didn't have the DevOps practice within your organization, and you got to a point where people, like now you have customers, but you can't really keep track of the changes that has been happening from day one. So it's all up to you as a startup founder, what you want, or as a startup, what you want in your organization at any point in time. You should prioritize the culture like 100%. If you believe in your idea, you should prioritize the culture. But if you do not have much money, then you can go with whatever suits you, basically. I've just told you how important it is. So yeah, that's my answer. There is no right answer to the question you asked. There's no right answer, but it's just what you want at that particular point in time. What kind of clients you have? Are they paying or are they not paying? So it's all depends on like those factors, basically.
All right. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, that settles a lot of my concerns. So it's majorly a question of scalability and need, but the framework or the culture is wise to be adopted early. So whenever your organization matures for it, it will be easy for you to switch in and continue. Okay, makes sense. Thank you so much for that, sir. Do we have any other questions? Is there anybody willing to ask any question on DevOps? Do you understand? Would you like to do something around DevOps? You have a question about breaking in and all of that. Mr. Daniel is here. Okay, so I'll read out this question. What advice would you give to someone just starting out in DevOps?
Oh, I get asked this a lot. Well, For me personally, I came from a back end background. I didn't just like start up in DevOps. So I already understood like what being a developer was all about. So my advice might be biased based on my own personal experience, but from what I've learned, it's always good to have an understanding of how the internet works. Like this is for a from a developer's perspective. Always get that understanding of like how the internet works, because you really need to understand what the cloud is. You really need to understand what some of these things are before you can start like looking into what platforms to use for like DevOps. You understand? So it's you have to start coding before you go into DevOps. Basically, it gives you a better understanding of what is happening, because breaking into it, like there are a lot of like gray areas, you understand, from a developer's perspective. But if you've been working in like, let me say, a back end or a front end field, you have an understanding of what like Amazon Web Service could be, GCP, Google Cloud service providers could be, Azure. You have an understanding of what all these things are, so it's not really hard for you to like adopt some of these technologies. So it's more or less you have to have a foundation in tech before like starting in DevOps. That's my own personal belief and the way I say it. So yeah, it might be biased, but yeah, that's what I believe. So the advice is have a fundamental understanding of what softwares are. At least try and build a couple of softwares. Try and stay building softwares from the back end, from the front end, or whatever ends you want to build the software from. But just get a fundamental understanding of what applications and how the internet works, basically. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. And
All
for
right.
question,
Sorry,
okay,
please go
another
on.
question. Yeah, there was another question I was just asking.
No, I wanted to appreciate you for like the answer you gave. So, okay, so another question says, what are the long-term career opportunities in DevOps?
Okay, so there are a lot of there are a lot of opportunities, right? But like I said, because of the barrier to entry for this particular field, because of the barrier to entry for this particular field, you have a lot of like you have fewer DevOps engineers. Like you understand, because like I mentioned, you have to have experience with some of this, like some of the stacks, maybe the backend stack or the front end stack, before you can say, okay, I'm taking a step higher into the DevOps world. You feel me? So there are fewer people out there, but that's the same way there are actually not as many jobs, because like I mentioned, organizations who need DevOps engineers, not all organizations need them or want them, you get, because they believe they are not yet at that stage. So it creates this sort of pseudo, or this sort of smaller pool to select from. But the truth is, there are fewer engineers in the field, fewer DevOps engineers, therefore, fewer good DevOps engineers, therefore, fewer job opportunities, but it goes around for all of them. So it's a win-win for everybody, basically, because anyone looking for a DevOps engineer knows what they are looking for and knows and knows the pool is few. So the competition is literally lower. So it's a one-to-one kind of situation. Personally, that's what I think. So yeah, it's something you should explore, like in the long term, like after grinding in one of those stacks for a while. It's something you can graduate to at any point in time. No, it's not. It's not necessary to have like to know specific programming languages. It's like I mentioned, it's more or less your understanding of how applications work. You could move into DevOps from a security perspective. There are DevSecOps, like there are DevSecs out there. You understand? You could have been all you've been doing were configuring routers, switches from for a long time. and you could still move into DevOps. You understand? So it's there are fundamental things you should understand or know, right? But I'm sure you would get that from, like, it's language agnostic. I'm sure you get those fundamental things from building, even if it's in the front end or in the back end or in the systems or in whatever. Once you have or you've deployed software to people in whatever capacity or whatever way, you would have those fundamental things. You know what to do and what not to do. Then you can start adopting some of these processes. You can start understanding what cloud system you should know to automate certain tasks. You get how to understand, like, Linux servers, how to understand Windows servers, how to run bash commands. So there are a lot of, like, things you'd have to learn. You understand? So it's not tied to a particular language. It's more or less it's tied to platforms. Like, I didn't mention a lot of technical things in this talk, like the infrastructure as code and the rest, but it's more or less tied to those platforms like Ansible, Puppet, how you automate tasks. Automation of tasks has a very, very broad sense. It's not tied to any programming language. More or less, I spend my days writing YAML scripts these days. Like, I don't know if you know
Okay.
YAML, INI, or JSONs. Yeah, those are what I do these days. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so any other question? Okay.
Okay. I think, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Eye opener for every one of us. And I'm sorry, guys, that we've stretched a bit longer than what our time is meant to be. So, let's once more appreciate Mr. Daniel for our service. We've had a really good masterclass on DevOps. Can you hear me? Aha, very good. I can see reactions now. So, thank you once again, Mr. Daniel. And then to anyone here who joined the session for this evening, but is not in the community, you're not yet a member of the community, maybe you got a direct link to the session for tonight, please indicate right now so that, or I'll just share a link to the community right in the in-call messages so that you can easily tap and join the community. So we wouldn't have to, it will be easier for you to get reminders. Also, you can reach out to whoever helped you get the link. The person will be able to also help you join the community. Yeah. So I'll just drop, that will be the final thing. It's already 7:30. So that will be the last thing I'll be doing before we can call it a night. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in tonight. I hope you got much value from the session tonight. If you are not, all right, okay. So yeah, this is the link. You could just join and then, okay. Thank you so much, David. All right. So you can easily join, and that would be it. Oh, Mr. Daniel, that's true. Please, Mr. Daniel, could we have the links to your socials, whichever you are most active on? I would think it's X. so that people could reach out to you, or your email if you're open to taking emails as well.
Yeah, I think I'll give you
Danny, can you
LinkedIn.
hear me?
Yeah, I'll give you LinkedIn now.
Okay, okay. LinkedIn. All right, thank you. So you just share that. Okay, great. So David has shared that with us. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you once again, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. Thank you, Mr. Moses in absentia. And thank you to everyone who joined. Let's keep the conversations going. Feel free to invite friends for next week's session, and we'll keep learning and thriving together as a community. That would be all from us tonight. Do enjoy your weekend and have a good night rest. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Very good night.
Good night.